A question came up. Why would a company that just raised $750 million fire 900 employees without notice? The company's clearly growing. That's why the investors are in. The Especially nowadays, people need people to work. You're going to cut off your source of people working, doing the job for you. This happened with a company called Better.com, a lending platform for people buying homes. And without notice, the CEO called a meeting and invited everyone to the meeting and said, "Hey, we're going to change some things. If you're on this call, you're fired." And it's just like, wait a second, didn't we just raise a lot of money? What about the holidays? What's going on here? Why would someone do that? We're trying to grow. There was a lot of discussion online and elsewhere that, hey, this was not the way to do it, or the CEO said a lot of employees are not actually doing their job well, so on and so forth. But is there more to it, especially working as a startup? Why does this happen? And sometimes it is just as simple as saying, like, look, we've got to kind of cut down some quote dead weight here, if that makes sense. And we have to lighten the payroll and try to make more money, because ultimately that's what's funny about these things. Businesses have to make money. And what happened here, though, I think was a little different. I think you had two things going on. They just raised a big block of financing, $750 million, and they're getting ready to go public on the stock exchange. And to do these things, especially if you're trying to maximize your take from this, especially as a founder or as a company raising capital, you need some help with this. You need the finance guys, you need the investment bankers, and they kind of set some of the rules. So what very well may have happened here in this case is the investment banking and the investors said, "Hey, we'll give you this round of money. We'll give you $750 million to keep growing and get bigger, and we'll support you in going public. But we need to show a little more profit, a little less burn rate, a little less loss. Well, just fire a bunch of people. That'll shave off some salaries." And the investors said, "Jesus, there's a lot of shares here that are outstanding. Can we get rid of some?" Well, uh, a lot of employees at startups will have stock options, and when you're asked to leave or you leave voluntarily, you have about 30 days or so, in most cases, to exercise their stock options, or you lose them. And to do that, you need to write a check to the company, and often you have to pay some taxes on that, which the government says, "Give me cash. I don't want your stock. I don't need a promise. I need a real check." And it's sometimes, depending on how long you've been there at a company or depending on the deal, it's not insignificant. It could be thousands of dollars, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars, even for just an average employee, based on a lot of factors. And if that person doesn't have the money, they can't exercise those. Um, and what that does is then those shares come out of the pool. Meaning, before, if we had, all right, 9 million shares are owned by all the people that work here, and we have another 2 million shares of stock options given to employees. So there's really 11 million shares out there. And if we're going to be worth $100 million, 100 divided by, 11 is, call it 9 and some change per share. Not bad. We really want to get to 10. Can we get to $10 a share? Well, you're not worth any more overall, right? We can't do that. But geez, we can get rid of 1 million shares. Well, look, we'll just get rid of some of the people that maybe that have 1 million stock options. And, most of them won't be able to exercise them. It's been short notice. It's holiday time. They're not going to feel too good about things. They write a check to the company. So, hey, we got, some of them exercise, but hey, we got down to about 10 million, $100 million value, $10 a share, bang, we're ready to go. So I think that's what you saw happen here a little bit. The company was getting pressure from the investors to say, reduce your expenses, reduce the number of shares you have out there. And they didn't really go about it the best possible way. Again, we don't really know. It's never really going to come out that way, but it certainly wouldn't be a surprise. And what's important to remember is when you're at a startup, it brings to be all sorts of questions to say, if you get these stock options, these aren't just things that are kind of extras. It's not like a foosball table. It's real money that actually has real impacts on the company's financial standing. So negotiating for them in a more aggressive way, negotiating against them to say, hey, why don't you just give me some more cash out of the stock? That may make more sense. And more importantly, do we look at it and say, hey, should I be exercising along the way? Where if I think the stock might be worth something one day, I've been kind of exercising along the way, and now I've got them. So you might want to get rid of me. You might want to terminate. Maybe I want to leave voluntarily, but now I have the stock, and maybe that's worth something. So take those things in mind when looking into taking stock options as compensation at a startup, especially a rapidly growing one that's getting a lot of funding. There's a lot more going on behind the scenes than you would think.